Okay, so we've all been in this situation. We've booked an appointment with someone. They sound super keen. Sound like they're ready to go and they're super pumped. And then you're sitting there on an empty Zoom call going, where the hell is this person? And they just don't show up for the appointment. And that could be for you or that could be for your client. But in today's video, I'm gonna share a concept I have never heard anyone talk about, but it can solve this problem if you do it right. But the important thing is to understand why it's happening to you, because if you understand why it's happening to you, then you can do something about it. So for those who don't know who I am, my name is Jimmy. Everyone calls me Uncle Jimmy, and I have been running my agency, My Online Guy, which is this little guy here, for almost a decade, which is absolutely crazy to think. And I'm also a coach over at EasyGrow, and I teach people service delivery over there. That's Charlie Morgan's course. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I teach over at Charlie Morgan's course, and I teach people how to keep clients forever, run agencies properly and efficiently, and provide a world-class customer experience. So if you want to learn more about that, you can check out the description below. I have a school group where the focus is mainly service delivery. And I like to think I've earned my stripes and I'm the right person to listen to when it comes to high-level concepts like this. So let's get into the topic at hand, which is appointments not showing up. So what I have here is a little graph. And what we want to do here is, this is the time. I'm just going to draw that. So you have the actual appointment, and then you have the time of when you booked, and there's the lag time between when you book and when your appointment actually happens. This is pretty much in every scenario. You're never going to have the appointment when you book it. So on the left here, we have a pain scale, which goes from 10 to basically 0. 0 being no pain at all, 10 being the most painful thing that this person can experience. Now, if this is a representation of appointment setting, basically what happens here is when you talk to the potential client and you book them in for the appointment, that is the most pain they're ever going to be in when they have that conversation with you. Because you think about it, you're going to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes talking about how your solution is a fit to their pain point, learning about it and pressing on those pain points so that they book the appointment. Now, what tends to happen over the 2 or 3 days or 1 day between when you book the appointment and the actual appointment itself is something like this. It looks like that. So what are we actually looking at here, and what am I trying to represent? This critical line is the most important thing on this, and this line, which is dotted red, is called the PSC, the point when people stop caring. Your job when you're booking appointments and wanting them to show up to the actual appointment is to make sure that people stay above that line. If they don't stay above that line where they care, then they just won't show up. Now, you would think that that pain wouldn't go away, right? Like, you've set the pain, 2 days is a short period of time. There's no reason why they shouldn't be thinking about that pain point, and it should be painful enough for them to want to solve over a 2-day period. That's how it works in a vacuum. But in the real world, your pain point that you solve with your client solution or your solution is actually competing for the brain space of other pain points that your client has. So that might be the dog needs a vet visit. That might be, I have a kid at school and he just got suspended. That might be, I'm driving along in the car and the check engine light comes on. That might be, you got your energy bill. That might be, there was a massive hit in the family and now we have no money. All those things depress the validity, the pain of your pain point. So what you need to understand is that your pain point doesn't operate in a vacuum, and if you don't do something to actively keep the pain point in the front of the mind of the client that you're trying to capture in the appointment, then it will slowly atrophy to the point where it goes below the PCS. So our objective is to keep the pain point above the point of stopping of caring of that client. How do we do that? Well, if you do it properly, what it should really look like is something like this. Right? It should be almost a sawtooth in a way, and it should never drop below the PSC. That is the secret. Now, if we can do that and keep it above the PSC, we know they're going to show up for the appointment. Doesn't matter how long it is. We know they're going to show up for an appointment. So what are these little upticks that I've got here? Well, these are just points of reinforcement of your pain point so that your pain point competes with the other things that pop up in life. Now, there's a few ways we can do this. One of the best ways to do this is actually with retargeting ads. So let's say, for instance, the reason they found you in the first place was from a Facebook ad, and that Facebook ad expressed a pain point and a big enough pain point for them to actually reach out to you so you could book them in. Doesn't it make sense to rerun that ad to them 10, 15, 20, 30 times anytime they jump on Facebook? Because every time they see that ad again, it's going to remind them of that pain point. It's going to remind them. And every time it reminds them, it just upticks the pain point to bring it back up in the scale of pain. So, that the dog needing a Benadryl, every time this upticks, that one drops off a little bit. You're competing for that pain threshold. Okay. And so retargeting the people with the ads that got them to feel the pain in the first place, enough pain to reach out, is a really smart way of getting the uptick, but it's not the only way. One of the other most effective ways to keep your pain point above the PSC is to do your appointment reminders properly and to do your appointment nurturing properly. So a lot of people, when they do appointment nurturing, they basically just send out appointment reminders. They'll send out one at 2 days, 1 day, 12 hours, 8 hours, maybe an hour before. That's not wrong. You should be doing that. That's like par for the course of appointment setting. But what people miss and what people really should be doing that they're not is sprinkling in between that through SMS and email things that remind them of the pain point to get these little upticks. So things like sending them a case study where someone has had the solution solve the same problem that they've had. Maybe sending them an article that reinforces why they need to put some emphasis on this pain point and why your solution fixes that. So an example of that would be, maybe it's an article that there's going to be big storms in Sydney this year and you're a roofer and you go, hey, look, we were just having this conversation. This is another reason why we should get the roof done now and not wait. Things like that. It could be a video where the founder or you talk about why you started your agency in the first place. It was to help people make sure they don't get ripped off with marketing. How that applies to your client is get your client to make a video on why he does roofs in the first place, why he cares, things like that, to remind them of the pain point. Little things like maybe sending them testimonials from other clients. It doesn't have to be a full case study. It could just be testimonial, video testimony of someone that's been in a similar position. It could be showing them the potential outcome. It could be sending them a photo of a previous job that your client's done. It could be showing them an example of a Facebook ads that you've done. You want to compress as many of those touch points that help to reinforce the pain point in this time cadence here. If you can get more of those things that express the pain point and bring the pain point up to front of mind again, the more you can do that, the more chance you have of the client actually showing up for the appointment. Because the goal is to stay above the PSC. Most people don't do anything, and because of that, it drops below the PSC. The client doesn't care about it enough anymore to solve the problem, so it becomes a waste of time. And all those reminders do is remind them that they could be sitting there for an hour on a call with you for a problem that's not even that big for them anymore. So our goal is to make sure that we keep the problem big in their head so that they need to solve it. And it's as simple as that. If you do that, you will have people show up for appointments. If you don't do that, then you won't. It's as simple as that. So this leads me to another point. A lot of people, when they're trying to solve this problem, they talk about how it's Facebook ads. My appointments aren't showing up, so it's got to do with the quality that's coming from Facebook ads. It's like saying that 1 + 1 = rock. It's like there's no logical thought process that gets you from the appointment not showing up to automatically assuming it's your ads. Now, the reason people do that is because it's easier to fix ads than it is to put in the effort to build out what we just spoke about. That it takes effort and time and energy and thought to have to build out emails and SMSs that go out to try and keep the problem front of mind. So it's easier to mess around with ads, but it's the wrong thought process. And if you want to succeed in this space and be at the level that I'm at, then you need to have a logical thought process when it comes to fault finding things like this. If people aren't showing up for your appointments, the best thing you can do is work one step back from that and go, okay, so they're not showing up for appointments. What's the step just before that? And look at it pragmatically and go, what can I do to improve that process? And then once that's done, go to the step before the one you just improved. Fix that, go to the one before that, fix that. And if you end up at your ads, you probably solved the problem by then. But most people just jump around and don't make any kind of logical connection between problems. They'll go, I'm not booking appointments, so it's a random thing over here, not the logical next step before that and solving that. It comes down to a little bit of people trying to solve problems by throwing a dart at a board blindfolded, as opposed to being methodical and taking a methodical approach to it. My goal with this channel is to help people run agencies properly. And part of doing that is having a logical thought process when it comes to fixing problems. That just comes with experience, but I'm here to share that almost a decade of experience with you guys. So that's it, guys. Keep your potential appointment above the PSC and they will show up. The way we do that is by keeping the pain point front of mind and above all the other stuff that happens in real life. It's as simple as that. So guys, hope that you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I'm gonna give a little plug to something that I've been working on for over 6 months. Go and check it out in the description. It's called Jimmy's Agency Brain. It's gonna change the game and it's something I'm super proud of. You can learn more about it in the description. So guys, thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next video.